let's talk about within the family unit. Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about with the society as a whole. Now, let's talk about the family unit. I believe, and I'm pretty sure that um, in the society, men and women are absolutely equal. There's no inferiority. There's no superiority amongst them. Between them, they are equal. They have different traits. They have different things that they are better at than each other, but they are equal. So, because they have different traits, they are better suited to certain roles. So, they will find themselves naturally gravitating to certain kinds of roles within the society. However, within the family unit, the only place where there's a definition of clear roles, there's a kind, what word do I use now? A kind of predestined role is within the family unit and not in the society as a large, within the family unit, where the man, the husband within the family unit is meant to provide leadership to the family unit. And the reason why that is important and why it is right, according to what Christians believe God has mandated, is because the family unit, which is the basic building block of the society, needs leadership, right? It needs constitutional leadership. The family unit could not have been left to people to decide ad hoc that everybody should decide who should be the leader of that family unit. What you're going to have is chaos. What you're going to have is a breakdown of the family unit. There will be no family unit because people would not be able to arrive at it. Will be complete anarchy. Leadership is something that should be agreed on. It should be something that is mandated by a higher power. In a democracy, the higher power is the consensus of the people. And so only the consensus of the people can break it down. The same way, for the family units, because you cannot democratically elect, because it's between two people, it's 50-50. And even if it was not two people, right, there are some things that are so important that God did not leave them to human beings to be deciding for themselves. God decided that one person would take the role of leadership. But even then, that role of leadership is not the kind of leadership of the world. Mark chapter 10 is pretty clear on this. Matthew chapter, what is it now? Is that 19? It's pretty clear on this. Jesus makes it clear what leadership, according to what he intended to be, really is, which is service, which is responsibility, which is taking care of people and not of the world, which human natural evolution has made human beings to begin to think of leadership as being superior to people and being the boss of people. And God demonstrates this fundamentally, even in the nature of the Trinity, how that God the Father can be the head of the Trinity, but yet is materially indistinguishable and not superior, so to speak, to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. So in Christianity, subordination is not inferiority. I love to say that so much. In Christianity, subordination is not inferiority. So the role of leadership in the family unit that the man has been tasked with is not a role of superiority over the woman. Rather, it's a role of service and responsibility for the woman and for all the members of their family. So I don't know if there's a word for that worldview, but that's what I believe. So yeah.
I recently read a particular article, Giving Up on God, and what's the writer was trying to say. I think his name is Ronald F. England Heart, something of that nature. He was trying to, in a sense, show that religion is somehow declining. And one of the things he pointed out to was that people do not no longer see these traditional roles as not just essential, but people thought that if we get rid of those things, society is going to break. But when they've realized that it's not going to break, and most of these traditional rules came from religion, and so they, in a sense, discovered that they can do away with them. So I just want to get your thoughts. And he did mention, the idea of human rights, environmental protection, and all that. Do you think that in the long run, as I said, that a secular society can actually give a proper basis for human rights, for
Secular
equality?
society can, if the secular society can do what?
can give a proper basis or foundation for human rights and for equality. Because he said, that he doesn't see, I'm trying to paraphrase here, that he doesn't see that things will fall apart because, according to him, for centuries, religion served as a force for social cohesion, and it provided all this basis for human rights. But now he believes that a secular society can provide that, and so he doesn't think that things will fall apart. I kind of feel that he's so optimistic because
no, that is extremely optimistic, or he has really put the bar very low for what it means for a society to work. The bar is really low because even in the world that we're in today, we don't need to struggle so much to get examples of what the world would look like without a society that is grounded in these our traditional values. For example, okay, wait, I don't want to equivocate, so I'm very, very short. So what exactly is he talking about that if they fall apart would not affect society? Is he talking about Judeo-Christian values or those traditional values of having a family unit? Because non-Judeo-Christian cultures also have a strong family unit, sense of family unit and all that. So which one is he talking about? Judeo-Christian values or family values?
He said that, every major religion, according to him, has some version of the biblical commandments: "Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill." So, just trying to read from the article, he said, "It is understandable that religious conservatives fear that the retreat of religion will lead to social disarray with rising corruption and crime." So it's not just, the Judeo-Christian worldview as it were, but religion
generally as
a whole, in that sense.
Then he's mistaken. He doesn't know what religion means. Religion is not just Christianity and Islam. Socialism, communism can be a religion. Atheism is actually a religion, right? So that's funny. There's always a form of religion that is used to hold societies together. Before there was Christianity, there was paganism. And paganism was what held the society together. So there's always some form of religion that holds society together. There's no way. For example, whether people like it or not, right? This radical liberalism and all the things that they're doing has all the classical signs and arrangements of religion. They have high priests, they have acolytes, they have enforcers, they have their liturgy, they have everything that religions have. So the idea that religion will recede and no, that doesn't mean anything. For example, look at China now, or look at Mao's China. Even today's China, they say there's no religion there. People are religious in one. Look at the example of Iceland. People use the example of Iceland, Scandinavian countries, that say they're not religious, and no, what they mean is that they are not Christian, not that they are not religious. Because if you want to go by definition of religion, which is the world's view that a person holds together, which a person believes in and holds them together, there's nobody that doesn't believe in something. So, for example, in Iceland, they're extremely superstitious people. Those guys believe in goblins and gnomes. Do you know that? They actually do. You can look it up. You can actually look it up. Those guys are very superstitious people. They believe in something. They believe in a higher power. Everybody believes in something bigger than them, right? So there will always be some form of religion. The question is, which one makes sense? Which one is the best for human flourishing? Which one is the best for human eternity, so to speak? So I do not agree with him that religion, the recession of religion will continue to lead to society. No, what just happened, what he's calling the recession of religion is recession of Christianity and the incoming of other kinds of religions. Secularism is a religion. Don't let anybody deceive you. Secularism is a religion, and it's in a form, it can still hold the society in a form, together in a form. The question is, what kind of society will it hold together?
I mean, that society. Yeah, that's one thing I discovered from the article is, in as much as he did say that data was collected from people, I didn't actually see what questions people were asked to kind of critique whatever their answer is, and his deduction from it. And also, he didn't really define what he meant by religion, because when people
do that, they do that a lot.
Yeah, when people ask me, are you religious? I tell them, well, everyone is religious, so therefore I'm religious. So it's
Yeah,
like we
that's a
all
good
have our
answer.
gods.
That's exactly. Everybody has something that they bow down to.
Yeah.
Everybody has something that exists at the top of the hierarchy of their values.
Mm.
Whatever that is your God.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that all your values aspire to is your God. Everybody needs something that holds them together. Everybody has something that holds them together. There's nobody that is truly, truly, absolutely without religion that is not a nihilist who doesn't consider life useless. If you find anybody that truly, truly has no religion, such a person's life would be meaningless and the person would act it out accordingly. The person would act it out accordingly, right? So, yeah, I don't think I don't think what the guy did there is just what is part of it's just one of those symptoms of things that are plaguing the Western world. I believe it's too much comfort.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a sense, a friend that actually works on my website with me, I shared the article with him, and one of his points is, people find a different kind of security in a sense, if it's not God, maybe it's the fact that they are economically secure and all that, and so that becomes their security, and so it moves in a sense from one point to another. It's not that they become irreligious; it's just that they find a different sense of security. Yeah, talking about religion and all that, I want to get your perspective on the whole blasphemy law and the musician that's has been sentenced
I
to.
think it's beyond
Okay.
ridiculous. I think it's beyond ridiculous. Ridiculous does not even begin to describe it. It's a total travesty. Even within the religion of Islam, I began to read a whole lot of other texts from other scholars that insist that blasphemy laws don't even apply to Muslims themselves. There are others that say it applies to Muslims. I don't care. I really don't want to know. But I think the blasphemy laws are ridiculous. I believe the blasphemy laws are ridiculous. I think it's wrong. I think I think on the face of it, there's nobody whose life should be truncated, who all the possibilities of what they can do on the earth, all the potential of all the things that they can make to happen on the earth will be ended because they do not believe in God the way you do. It does not make sense by any standard, because what it does is that it's a backdoor channel that devolves that will make our society devolve into some kind of survival of the fittest. Because at the end of the day, the person, if everybody is to live their lives like that, the only people left standing will be the strongest people.
And I also see that, in as much as not everyone sees it this way, but religion and all that revolves around it is a question of truth. Now, if we believe that there is an absolute truth, the question is, how do we arrive at that? If we think that, okay, this is what I believe and I believe it is true, and every other person that critiques it must die on account of that. I mean, you can't get anyone to the truth through that. I mean,
that is a beautiful perspective.
Yeah,
that is a lovely perspective.
Especially when you're in a pluralistic society. I mean,
yeah.
And so the only way you can actually convince people or even fully understand what you believe is when you allow people to speak freely, in a sense.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
If we are all speaking freely, I mean, we understand each other, we exchange ideas, we critique one another, and we say, okay, yeah, this is true, this is not true. But especially when it comes to the power of the state and all, because I find it very confusing. Is Nigeria an Islamic state or not? And they tell me, this law applies to only Muslims. Okay, even if it applies to only Muslims.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. In Nigeria, I don't even understand it. How a country can have two parallel laws. You have a secular law, and then you have Sharia law. We've been a secular state that people can apply. I'm like, what kind of country is this? Please don't get me started on that. Please. I'm just going to have an aneurysm or something.
I mean, I understand it perfectly. I tell people whenever it comes to talking about Nigeria, it becomes annoying. I mean, the conversations are really pleasant.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know. I don't know. It's just please don't even get me started. I actually try a lot not to let my emotions about Nigeria show as much as possible in public space, because in my life, my priority is still to try as much as possible to reconcile men to God, get men to know God and all that. And I'm well aware that politics is something that can really stand in the way
Yeah.
and, affect all that. So I try my best not to